What's up, everybody? I'm Jesse, or GameOverJesse, as all of you may know me, and here with us, as always, on episode 39 of the Highland Gamescast, I believe, for June 26th, is our co-hosts, Daniel, Kayla.
Are we doing the hands up thing?
I don't know what I'm doing.
And Ilya. Yeah, that's great.
Great.
For the people only listening to the audio podcast, they raised their hands. So
yeah, so sorry about that.
Yeah. So on today's podcast, we're going to be talking about a few pieces of Nintendo news. The Hyrule Encyclopedia finally released last week, and it has, oh yeah, Ilya has it right there. Daniel has it, and he's
beautiful. Do it.
Yeah,
I have a sock.
So there were a lot of new facts that were revealed in this book. Similar to when Hyrule Historia came out, there's a lot of new info revealed. Hyrule Encyclopedia does the same thing, except...
Are these ladies okay over here? I'm sorry.
They're just too heated about the...
I showed
all the
Ilya
new
a
Zelda
sock
lore.
and she just destroyed herself. Sorry, continue.
Oh,
I was
Jesse.
listening too.
Yeah. So...
Let's drop some bombshells. That's what it's done.
Yeah, the
Yes.
the Hyrule Encyclopedia has a lot of new facts, just like the...
Ah! I just dropped it. I dropped it. I dropped my book.
Just like the Hyrule Historia, except it has a slight tidbit of information about the Zelda timeline, which is very interesting. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about some rumors that we kept being told over and over and over, but none of them ended up coming true, which honestly, the year isn't over, so there could be other stuff announced later in the year. And the last piece of news is about Metroid Prime 4, Animal Crossing, Mother 3, everyone's favorite game that never released in America, and a few others. And then we're going to get to our topic of discussion, which this week is a Zelda theory. Daniel's going to tell us all about the Breath of the Wild timeline, and then we're going to be answering some questions sent in by fans like yourself, but sometimes we get so many questions. So, Kayla, what can people do when we get so many questions, but they still want their question to be answered?
Tell us, Kayla.
You can become a Patreon. We will always answer Patreon question first. And if not, comment in YouTube, because we will normally answer those.
Yeah. So you can leave your comments on the previous Zelda mailbags, and we'll go there to collect the questions. Sometimes people send questions through the wonderful world of Twitter, but mostly we just compile all of the questions that people ask on the Discord. So you can go to our Discord server. There's a link in the description. We'll answer all of those. And yeah, as Kayla said, you can go to patreon.com/GameOverJesse and have your question, among other things, to be guaranteed to be featured on the show. Even today's topic of discussion, this Zelda theory. If you would like us to talk about something for 15 to 20 minutes, go in depth on any topic, as long as it's reasonable, you can also sign up for a tier for that as well. Just as...
Segway time.
Yeah. J-Link, Michael. See, if I know these people's usernames, then I want to say their usernames and not their real name, but it's their real name that pops up, so I try to be...
That's his real name?
Yeah, J-Link.
Sorry. Okay,
So,
continue.
just as J-Link, Michael, Elmer, Gus, Justin, Ashley, that one Pancake, Key of Time 15, Monica, Casey Willis, Link uses the Triforce, Megan, Lunarium, Robbie, Shadow to Us, Rusty, and Lovable Christy.
Wait, which pancake was it?
That one pancake.
That one.
Oh, that
Just
one.
that one.
That one pancake. Sorry, I forgot which pancake.
We have more than one pancake?
Actually, I think those are supposed to be two different because I know we have the one, and I don't see the one on there.
The one.
So maybe it's the one.
Maybe
and
the
then
one
someone
got
else
merged
is-
with pancake.
Yeah, possibly that one
Wait,
pancake.
which pancake?
Pancakes are delicious, so I don't
Waffles.
I do like a good
Debatable.
pancake.
I like French toast.
Ooh, I love French toast even more, actually.
But see, I think French toast is like you have to go out of your way to make French toast.
You have to go out of your way
Whereas-
to make pancakes and waffles.
Good counterpoint. You know what's the best? I've got a waffle maker, and I've
Oh.
never loved anything more. Oh, okay, that's a lie. My panini press I love more.
You could get the waffle
know, there's
maker
lots of
that
Panini
makes
Press more than his
the,
wife confirmed.
the Triforce
Yes.
waffles. Yeah.
Also, in the chat here, someone said, Amazing Chan said, I want to donate, but I don't have any money.
Then don't.
Oh.
Okay, dude, don't worry. Just watch our videos, and we'll still love you.
Yeah,
Yes.
hang
Love
out
you
and be our
always.
friend.
So don't worry.
Subscribe and talk during the podcast.
Yes.
That's how I started. I just talked in the chat all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
Ilya started. We answered her questions on the podcast.
Hey, Larulian's in here. Yeah.
Hey, Orca.
Okay, so everyone watching, we have about 40 people. The best way for you to support is honestly going to your Twitter, Facebooks, Instagrams, whatever, and promoting the channel. Post that you're a fan and you want other Zelda fans to check it out. Bring as many people as you can. Maybe we'll reach 70,000 subscribers soon.
Yeah.
But starting our first piece of news, Daniel. Over the year, we have gotten countless I've gotten countless emails, messages, tweets about a bunch of different games that were rumored, and then some of these even popped up on like lists of rumored games. I was really championing for one game in particular.
Which one?
Yeah. So, three main ones. Actually, there's four, but I never really thought one of them could be. To quickly cover it, Zelda 2, there was a list by Grezzo where they were hiring, and they said something about Zelda, and then they had like the number 2 in there, and a lot of people thought that it was a hint at them hiring to work on Zelda, because they were saying something about like working on a new legend. And then, like, there was something like, you can work on this too, but they had, like, the number 2. It was something weird like that, like, very vague stuff, but still hinting at something that could be Zelda. So they had, like, Legend and 2 and some other things. And a lot of people assumed that it was going to be a remake of Zelda 2, similar to what they did for Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, because Grezzo is the company that made those games. I thought that was like the least likely to be true. I thought maybe it was just like maybe a sequel to another Legend of Zelda game, not necessarily a remake of Zelda 2. But that could have been anything. I think that was honestly the one that was the most convincing, though, not necessarily that it was Zelda 2, but because it was the company who posted the ad to hire people, then you can't get much like more evidence or factual than that. But there are cases to be made for these other games. The one that I thought was another least likely but kind of made sense was Link's Awakening 3D, or
The bridge game.
yeah. So it was
Link Between
supposed to
Islands.
be the A Link Between Worlds version of Link's Awakening. So sort of a remake / reimagining / sequel, where A Link Between Worlds began as Miyamoto wanting I think it was Miyamoto, wanted to remake A Link to the Past, but then Aonuma wanted to create a new Zelda game. So they compromised and took everything that they had started on with the actual remake of A Link to the Past. So they already had the world and everything made, and they just changed it so that it was like an updated version of A Link to the Past that sort of continued the story.
A few Zelda games have started that way. I think the Oracle games started as a Zelda 1 remake as well, and then were altered. And then I think, now this is never confirmed, but I pretty heavily believe Ocarina of Time started with kind of A Link to the Past in 3D in mind.
Yeah.
But that's really ballparking it as far as...
No, that's true. That's why... and A Link to the Past started a formula that they've used a lot of times, which is you complete 3 dungeons. It's like a big twist happens in A Link to the Past. You get sent to the Dark World. In Ocarina of Time, you are turned into an adult, which is you're sent to the future world. So even though it's the same world, everything is completely different, similar to the Dark World and Link to the Past. Wind Waker, I believe, has something similar.
Where you find... No, wait, that's earlier in the game.
And then Twilight Princess.
Never mind.
Well, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword also have the same sort of formula. Twilight Princess, I think you get the Master Sword as well.
Yes.
And then you can turn into a wolf at any
You
time.
find the Master Sword in Wind Waker as well. And you find Hyrule.
Yeah. And Skyward Sword, the world kind of opens up a bit. Because the first 3 dungeons in Skyward Sword you have to go to in a specific order, but after that it opens up. And then you can go to any of the... Like, you can revisit any of the areas to go to any of the dungeons in order. I messed up. Side note, I went to the Sand Ship last, because I just revisited in the same order that you're supposed to go. So, forest, fire, water. And so I did that again. So I ended up getting the bow and arrow, which is one of my favorite weapons in that game, as like the last main weapon. So I played through the whole game without my favorite weapon, which sucked. But anyways, so that was another rumor, Link's Awakening 3D, which was a link between islands. So similar to A Link Between Worlds. So in America it was A Link to the Past and A Link Between Worlds, but in Japan it was Triforce of the Gods and Triforce of the Gods 2. Which is weird, because Link's Awakening technically is the direct sequel to A Link to the Past, but that wasn't called Triforce of the Gods 2. So, interesting how they decide to name their stuff. But, yeah, so it was supposed to be a link between islands, or as the rumor said, and we joked around about it being bridge, that A Link Between Islands is a bridge. So the game was essentially The Legend of Zelda Bridge. And then Ocarina of Time HD, because it is the 20th anniversary of Ocarina of Time. So what would be a more perfect time to remake or give us an official HD remake? And there's a lot of people that have said that they've just remade Ocarina of Time, so why would they remake it again? And then I point to that's what Nintendo's kind of known for now, is releasing ports of games that they just released or remakes of games that they just released, like the Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee.
Right.
So that began as Pokemon, well, in America, because in Japan they had green and red, and then they had blue and red, and then they had yellow. So, but in America, we only had blue and red. We didn't get the first Pokemon game, which was kind of a crappier version of Red and Blue, because it only had like 40 or 50 Pokemon as opposed to the full list. But anyways, so Nintendo released Red and Blue, which was an updated version of Yellow and updated version of Green and Red. And then they released Yellow, which again was an even more updated version. And then they released Fire Red and Leaf Green, which was a remake for the Game Boy Advance. And now they're releasing a remake of a port. So for the people saying the Ocarina of Time HD can't come because it's already been remade, Nintendo is literally known for shoving the same game out over and over.
It's true.
Yeah.
Just think about how many consoles can you buy Super Mario Bros. 3 on?
Yeah.
It's just
True. Very
then,
true.
so
Yeah.
many.
Like a lot of games, Nintendo at first were porting games from the Wii U that had just released to the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And they were giving little updates for it. So like it was the deluxe edition or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But lately it's just been like, no, it's literally the exact same game. Like Pokken Tournament re-released, it was the deluxe edition. Mario Kart 8 released, it was the deluxe edition, but lately it's like, what was it? Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze released, and it's like literally no update aside from
Kong.
Cranky. Yeah, Funky Kong. I was gonna say Cranky Kong.
That funky mode.
Yeah.
So
So
we
it's
brought you
like-
an update, but it's Cranky Kong, and you already had him.
Yeah.
No,
So
Kong's the worst one in that game.
Yeah.
Just give me more Dixie.
and then some people for Skyward Sword HD, a lot of people say that like, oh, Skyward Sword just released, why would they do a remake of it? And it's literally the only 3D Zelda game that hasn't been remade.
Also, when people say it just released, no.
Yeah.
It came out in
No, it
2011,
didn't.
guys. It's been the same amount of time as Link was asleep in the Chamber of Sages.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So with Link's Awakening, or not Link's Awakening, Skyward Sword, I think people just assume or think about it being new because maybe they just bought it late. So like
Right.
if they had a Wii U, they bought it for the Wii U even though it was a Wii game. And then if you look at Breath of the Wild, before it released, Skyward Sword was the newest big Zelda game. So I think people look at it as like, oh, well that released just before Breath of the Wild, but then yeah. So the way that I want to do this is with you guys. Out of these 3 or 4 potential remakes for the Switch or 3DS, which would you prefer? So, Link's Awakening 3D, Ocarina of Time HD, Skyward Sword HD, or the Zelda 2 remake. We can start with you, Kayla. Alright, good answer. And to you, Daniel.
What?
Ocarina of Time.
Kayla.
Nice.
Hands down. I love that game. I've probably played it way too many times. I would love to see an HD remake, please. That is the first time that I saw Link, because I was young and I didn't really play video games a lot. I just watched everyone else play video games, but I watched my brother play Ocarina of Time all the time, and that was the first version of Link that I fell in love with.
Oh, funny story. There was someone in a chat yesterday. It might have been on the Discord. They said that Ocarina of Time for them was the horse game. So like,
The horse game.
yeah, so they would watch their mom or dad or someone play Ocarina of Time, and they loved the part where you're just riding around on Epona in Hyrule Field. So
That
instead
was
of
me when I first played it.
yeah, so they were like,
Yes,
instead of can we play Zelda or can we play Ocarina of Time, they're like, can we play the horse game? And they didn't realize there was more stuff to do in the game until they turned it on and was like, oh, you can make a new save file. And then it starts you out and like you're not even an adult, you're not in Hyrule Field, you don't get Epona until way later, and then playing through the actual game, they ended up liking it even more. So I thought that was interesting.
That's cute. I like that.
Oh, so here's the question to go with that, Kayla, because you picked Ocarina of Time.
Yes.
We had a thing a while back. I don't know if you were on it, but we were talking about so if Ocarina of Time released on the Switch and it had the same treatment as Twilight Princess HD did, to where they released an amiibo with like the collector's edition or whatever, what kind of amiibo would you like? and what
Got
would you want it to be?
Amiibo.
Yeah, so like you could pick like a Saria amiibo, or like they could release
Wait, for
amiibo.
Ocarina of Time?
Yeah, so you could get like amiibo of each one of the sages. You could get the Deku Tree, the Deku Tree Sprout, Ocarina of Time Ganondorf amiibo.
Can I do all of them, please?
Seriously.
You have to pick
I
one.
can't.
That's for
I
the
can't pick
collector's edition. Like Twilight Princess got Wolf Link, which would take you to a new dungeon. So what would the standalone amiibo for Ocarina of Time do? Which obviously you would be able to use all of the other Zelda amiibo. But the new amiibo that they create just for Ocarina of Time HD, what would it be?
And I'm thinking it won't be Link because they have a 30th anniversary Link, like 30th anniversary Zelda edition Link amiibo for Ocarina of Time already. So not Link. That's only stipulation.
Do they have one of Link on Epona?
No.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild.
Link.
Breath of the Wild does. Oh, yeah,
I was gonna
there is
say like an Epona amiibo because, yeah.
What if there was one of young Link pulling the Master Sword out of the pedestal?
Oh, that would be perfect.
Cool.
That would be really, really cool.
I was
Or,
just like playing the game in my mind,
like,
trying to
both
think
them
of all my
back to
favorite
back,
moments.
like adult Link putting it in and young Link pulling it out. something
Yeah,
like that.
okay, so here's the thing. If they did do that, this would save a lot of hassle.
I broke my
So in
headphones.
Twilight Princess, they made it so instead of going into the menu or talking to Midna to turn into Wolf Link, like if you
Right.
were in Kakariko Village as a child, you tapped the amiibo and it made you adult Link in Kakariko Village.
In the future,
Yeah.
so it just travels like you just 7 years.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go to the Master Sword pedestal.
Yeah, that way you would save a bit of time, because there's a lot of stuff where like you have to go to a place as an adult, go back as a child, go back as an adult, and
So not unlike the Magic Mirror in A Link to the Past.
yeah, like if you're doing the Magic Bean quest, where like you have to go there as a child and then go back as an adult.
So much easier.
You don't have to run all the way back to the Temple of Time or warp there.
I'm just looking at the chat and they're saying a Gerudo amiibo would be pretty cool.
A
But is
Gerudo
regular
amiibo.
Gerudo?
Well, see, that's what I
wanna
was.
say Ganondorf.
If they released a line of
No.
all of the sages, like
Oh,
how they
my
released all of the
wallet.
champions in Breath of the Wild.
My
They
poor,
released
poor
sages.
wallet.
Yeah.
I'll buy them all. I really will.
You're
'Cause
gonna
then
need
you
more
would get-
shelves, man.
Naburu
I
for the
need
person who
more
wanted.
shelves.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so true.
Yeah. But Kayla, what's your amiibo?
What? Epona?
She just said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like I was making sure
Jesse, girl,
after
calm
we
down.
announced everything, would Epona just call Epona to you so you don't have to play the song?
Yes.
Oh yeah. That'd be neat.
Yes. I get tired of playing that song, honestly.
Yeah. And then you can only ride him like 15 feet. So. Yeah.
Because
Alright.
you get to Kakariko
Well, you're not
Village
gonna
and it's
just
like,
walk.
JK, I can't go upstairs.
Yeah.
Oh.
Alright, Daniel.
Bona. I'm gonna stick with the Ganondorf amiibo. We've got Twilight Princess Ganondorf from Smash. What?
What? Oh my
No,
god!
sorry.
No, I just saw it because I have our Discord, or like I have our chat playing, or like on YouTube, and I just saw our reaction side by side of Jesse talking about what life would be like with Ocarina of Time amiibos, and it was hilarious.
Oh, just us dying, you mean?
Yeah, because I was like going like this, and you were going like this. Okay, continue. Sorry.
So
Wait,
yes,
did
there's already-
Lorulian Historian in the chat? For those that don't know, Lorulian Historian from the Discord is TGL Majora, as in the
Okay.
book
Oh.
of Majora.
Mhm.
So earlier he said something, if I may have read it wrong because the chat was going by so quickly, which is really cool to see actually. But
Yeah.
he said something about like Amiibo being used as a paperweight, I think. Or maybe I was just reading something
Maybe I missed that.
incorrectly. But
But he
I
did
thought it was
say,
funny.
like a generic Zora, a generic Goron, Gerudo, and Kokiri. So just basically all the races. That's a cool idea.
Yeah, but then like if you're going to do the generic ones, why not do the sages? That way you
True.
get the important ones. Because nobody wants an amiibo of Mido. Like, just get out.
True. But, yeah, Sages would be cool. I'm sticking with Ganondorf, though. And although we do have a Smash Ganondorf amiibo already,
Yeah.
likely they will make a new Ganondorf amiibo for Smash Ultimate, which will have the Ocarina of Time design. However, this has not stopped Nintendo before, right? There's the Twilight Princess Link is in Smash, and there's that Smash amiibo, but there's also just the Twilight Princess Link amiibo, which is a separate one. So why not? It would be really cool. They could give him a power pose or have him on top of his evil horse, with his trident or something cool. They could do a lot with it. It'd be really heckin' awesome. I want it.
Yeah. Also, just quickly in chat, Rick was saying a Navi amiibo so they can disable her in the main game. Need help? Just scan the amiibo for tips. Navi problem solved.
All right, Ilya,
That's
what's your Ocarina of Time amiibo?
The young Link pulling Master Sword out of the pedestal.
Yeah.
And what would it do?
I literally have no idea. I just think it would look freaking awesome.
Yeah.
What if you just tap it and then you turn into Adult Link? But you can't. You have to actually physically warp back to turn back into a child.
Oh, so it's like
But then you'd have to release
even more
the
like
second
the
one
magic
that has him
mirror.
putting it in the pedestal then.
Because, but the magic, I keep going back to this. The magic mirror in Link to the Past is kind of like that. It's a one-way warp. You can't use the magic mirror both ways. You can warp from the dark world in A Link to the Past to the light world, but you can't warp from the light world to the dark world through the same use. You have to find a portal or go through the portal you left behind. So even just adding that convenience of being able to do that one way, but it's still not being like super ridiculous, because I think there are some areas that I don't think Child Link is supposed to be able to reach that Adult Link can, right?
Right.
So having it just go the one way makes more sense.
Well, like, there's the missing heart piece that's there as a
Yeah,
child,
yes.
but when you're an adult, it's not there, but you're not supposed to be able to get there as a child.
So I don't think there's anywhere... I guess other than some of the dungeon, like inside Jabu Jabu, I don't think there's anywhere really that Young Link goes that Adult Link cannot go to. There's a lot of areas Adult Link goes to that Young Link cannot. So if they just have it the one way, I guess if you're in Jabu Jabu's belly, you just fall into the water. It just sploosh.
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 Kaboom!
Yeah, that would be good. I like that. Functional and gorgeous.
Or especially like at least like when you do the well and you're like, okay, let's go back.
I gotta get out of here. Yeah.
Well, like, I imagine it would take you... Okay, so... Like, when you play the Sun song, it takes you back to where you came into the entrance. So it wouldn't automatically make you... So that, like, if you play it in front of the Skulltula house, you're not going to automatically pop back... Or if you tap it, you're not going to pop back in front of the Skulltula house as an adult. It's going to take you to whatever entrance of Kakariko Village you ended up using it at. And if you're in Jabu Jabu's belly, maybe it's just cancelled to where you can't use it inside a dungeon, similar to how you can't play Furor's Wind outside of a dungeon.
Oh yeah, that's a good point actually.
True.
Or if they do allow it, then it just takes you to like that part of Zora's domain, but as an adult. So like everything's frozen over. But yeah. Okay, so Daniel, out of those games, which do you want to be remade? If Nintendo were to make a surprise announcement of these Zelda rumors.
This is very difficult.
All of the above.
But okay, I'm caught between two of them in particular. I'm gonna go with Zelda 2 Remake. In the same vein as the way, like if they remake it the same way that they had Mercury Steam remake Metroid 2 into Samus Returns. So they keep the core of it, the dungeon general layouts and everything, the give everything a nice fresh update and beautiful facelift, and but keep the brutality of Zelda 2 alive. underrated or unorthodox opinion. I really like that game. It's hard as hell, but that's part of why I like it. I've never been more satisfied beating a Zelda game. When I beat that game, and I was like throwing on the controls, like, yes! So, like, that was a great moment for me. Every other game I beat it, I'm happy, but that's the one that just like it pushed me to the limit, trying to beat it. Just because the final boss, it's like the final dungeon boss, and then the final boss immediately, like at the next room. So you gotta go through 2 of the hardest boss fights, one after the other, and just even that is just ridiculous. There's a couple of things I would change though to make it easier. Add like, if you die, you should start at the dungeon that you died in. In the original version, that only happens in the last dungeon, in the palace. Sorry. So if you die in the 3rd palace, you get a game over, whatever, you restart like at the very beginning of the game. Like, you don't have to redo all the dungeons, but like in that location, the Northern Palace, I think it's called. Whereas in the last dungeon or palace, you die there. You just start at the beginning of the palace, like every other Zelda game ever, including the one before that one. So they just need to add that one detail, and they'll be good. But yes, keep the brutality. I love the challenge. I'm a gaming masochist, according to Kayla, her words. So I want Zelda to punish me.
Okay.
So, yes.
Classic Daniel.
So what Zelda 2 amiibo?
So Zelda 2.
I am error.
There's not a lot of characters in Zelda 2 that are noteworthy. Yeah. So the final boss, Shadow Link, would be a really cool amiibo to have. We don't have, like, there's, you know, different versions of Dark Link, Shadow Link, and other games.
But that's the original.
But this is the OG Shadow Link, and it would be a really cool amiibo to have if they don't have just like a Zelda 2 Link amiibo.
Quick
have both.
Tidbit,
make them both.
Quick fact for everyone: a lot of people assume every version of Dark Link or Shadow Link, whatever they call him in different games, a lot of people assume it's always the same Dark Link showing up, created by Ganon. But every single version you see is a completely separate version, similar to how every Link is a completely separate version, and they're even created in different ways. There's like a 15-minute video explaining all of like the different origins for all of the different versions of Dark Link.
That was a good video. That was a good one. So
what would Dark Link amiibo do?
I didn't get that far. It was going aesthetic.
Oh, it would
purely.
It would be
just
like,
don't make it like hard mode.
No, that's what I was gonna say. It would be like the Ganondorf amiibo for Twilight Princess.
Okay, or the Metroid amiibo in Samus Returns, which gives you fusion mode.
Okay.
Which is just hard. There's already hard mode, but then there's like hard mode.
Okay.
In that game.
So it gives you like dark mode.
Yeah, sure. Like,
because Dark Link, dark mode, I don't know. Dark is what they used for the hardest difficulty in Perfect Dark. Like, you could play through like hard, very hard, perfect, and then dark. Ilya, your turn.
Which game?
Yeah, which game?
Yeah.
I think we all are. Yeah, we all already know. Okay, so with Link's Awakening 3D, would you rather it be on the 3DS or the Switch?
I think, because I was actually thinking about this, I'm like, would I want it to be, you know, what they did with A Link Between Worlds for A Link to the Past? Would I want it to be like that and have it be on the 3DS? Or would I want it to be like a full 3D game? And I think it'd probably be best if it was what they did with A Link to the Past, making A Link Between Worlds, but I'd want it on the Switch, I think.
Well, like, they could still do that. Like, if you play A Link Between Worlds on an emulator, like, it's still 2D, it's just also in HD. Like,
right.
Octopath Traveler is a 2D game that's also in HD.
I think also because, like, I already have Link's Awakening on my 3DS as a 2D game. But yeah, I don't know why. I think I just have a lot of nostalgia for that game. A lot of people hate on that game. But I'm like, I have a lot of nostalgia for that game because I genuinely do not remember if that's my first encounter with Zelda or if Ocarina of Time was, because I think we got them at the same time. So I don't remember which one was first, but I remember always loving that beginning scene where Marin's like her little body going across the beach, and then it gets really fast.
That little bloop, 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 bloop. Yeah, as it bounces.
And like I remember that title screen music sticking with me so much, and the music is so good. And Telltale Heights, I love that theme. So.
Alright, so what amiibo would release with it?
I don't know what it would do, but purely for looks, the Windfish.
Yeah.
Give us a
Imagine
big
how cool that would look.
Detective Pikachu style, girthy big amiibo.
I was thinking of like a Marin amiibo, but
I was thinking Marin too, but
Marin would be cool, but I think I would want the Windfish. I don't know what it would do, but
it would wake him up.
Yeah.
End the game.
Good job.
Game over.
Yeah.
Just tap the amiibo.
10 out of 10 amiibo.
I honestly can't think of like what it would do, but it would have to be something that affects like the game as a whole, because that's what you're leading up to. I don't know. And now for some reason I'm thinking of that part where you pick up Marin and it's like, you got a Marin. Could this be your big chance? It's like, no.
That game had romantic tension up the wazoo, and it was 8-bit. So
I know.
Which is pretty incredible.
Marin, are you listening to me? That's all he knows how to do because he doesn't talk.
I always liked the Forest of Mystery song, just because it's like the main Zelda theme, but like in this minor key, and it like has this nice spooky twist to it, and it just sounds good.
Yeah.
Magnifi soundtrack. I'm just doing that all this podcast. That's my thing. That's this week's shtick, everybody. You enjoy it.
I think also all of those nightmare enemies would seem so cool in that 3D-esque type
it would.
look. I just love the concept of it being like a nightmare and whatnot, especially because I don't mean this in a bad way, but I do have a ton of nightmares, so I always play that game and I'm like, yeah.
I like that everyone shows different games.
Yes. That's why I was wondering what Daniel was gonna pick. I was like,
here.
you better say Zelda. I'm saying like so.
Yeah, that was the other one I was stuck between though.
I knew it.
Those two. I got a taste for the classics.
Because I know we had a conversation at one point, I think it was on the podcast, about how like at least there's direction with Zelda 2. Zelda 1, it's like go find things.
Yes, it's too like the openness is good, but if you don't know where to find the first dungeon, at least like. But that's a whole nother.
I still haven't found one, and I've had the game for weeks.
Oh, like I said before, you just gotta go up a square, left a square, up a square, up a square, right a square, right a square, up a square, left a square.
Very helpful.
It's easy.
Someone in the chat said they want a Kuko amiibo.
It's invincibility and the ability to kill everything on sight. Yes,
like double the power of Wolf Link and Breath of the Wild.
Oh man.
Oh, love it.
Alright, I guess I'm going to default to Skyward Sword, but we already had a very lengthy discussion on Skyward Sword. Obviously, Loftwing amiibo, or for the crazy people out there, a nice, very detailed Groose amiibo.
Yes.
With him like brushing his hair up.
Oh yeah,
Give me
yeah.
Groose.
Yes. Groose is on the loose.
Exactly. So, our next piece of news, Daniel, since you have the Zelda Encyclopedia next to you.
So does Ilya.
Oh yeah, so does Ilya.
Yeah, but did you
And
drop
Hyrule Historia
yours?
for comparison.
What?
Oh, mine's in the other
Ilya's so
room.
cool.
So prepare.
Oh, you have it? Would you like to take this one then and tell us?
Oh, I'm just being
Okay.
annoying.
Alright, well, Daniel,
I mean, I can. Now I'm lost.
tell us about this new book. But before you do, turn off your video and turn it back on.
Oh, is it lagging again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Oh, I was late on that one. I was late.
You were late.
Alright.
Sorry. All right.